so in terms of our review here, the first two questions, this will look like on your test. You don't actually have to get me my answers. You just need to get me my possible solutions. So we take the factors of the constant, 1, 2, 5, and 10. And we take the factors of the leading coefficient, which is 1 and 2. And all we're doing here is we're finding the possible solutions. Factors of 10 over factors of 2. So we take every factor of 10 and put it over 1. So plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 5, plus or minus 10. Then we take every factor of 10 and we put it over 2. Plus or minus 1/2. 2 over 2 is 1, so I don't need to repeat that one. Plus or minus 5/2. 10 over 2 is 5, so I don't need to repeat that one. The next one, we have our factors of 18. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. And our factors of 3, 1, and 3. Okay? And now my possible solutions, every factor over 1. Plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 6, plus or minus 9, and plus or minus 18. So all the factors of 18 over 1, and I got to put every one of them over 3. Plus or minus 1/3, plus or minus 2/3. 3 over 3 is 1. 6 over 3 is 2. 9 over 3 is 3. 18 over 3 is 6. And those are my answers. All right, so as you notice up here, I put the list of factors of 28, list of factors of 6. We have to come up with our possible solutions first. So every factor of 28 is a possible solution. And my promise to you on our problems is that your answer is going to come in the first 6 options. Not 1, 2, 3, but whatever the first 3 numbers are. In this case, plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 4. But I still have to come up with my complete list. So I put every number over 2. So 1/2 is an option. 2 over 2 is 1. 4 over 2 is 2. We already have those. 7 over 2 is an option. 14 over 2 is 7, and 28 over 2 is 14. So I don't need to write repeats. Now I put everything over 3. 1/3, 2/3, 4/3, 7/3, 14/3, and 28/3. There's really no repeats there. And then finally, everything over 6. 1/6, 2/6 is 1/3. I have it. 4/6 is 2/3. I have it. I don't have 7/6. 14/6 is 7/3. I have it. And 28/6 is 14/3. I have it. So I have a pretty extensive list of possible solutions. You're not going to have to go through them all. I'm going to start with 1. 6, 5, negative 48, and 28. I drop my 6. I get 11. I get negative 37. This clearly doesn't give me a 0, so 1 doesn't work. So now I'm going to go to negative 1. 6, I get negative 6. That's negative 1. I get a positive 1. I get negative 47. That doesn't give me a 0. So negative 1 doesn't work. Let's try 2. We have 6. We get 12, 17. 17 times 2 is 34. That's a negative 14. And negative 14 times 2 is negative 28. There's my 0. Once I get a 0 on an x cubed, now I'm going to factor what's left. And I'm always going to start with the middle terms. The factors of 6x are 2 and 3, or 1 and 6. I'm going to try 2x and 3x first. The factors of 14 are 1 and 14, and 2 and 7. I'm not going to put my 2 with the 2x, because that puts a GCF in my parentheses. So I'm going to put the 7 here, and the 2 here. And 2x times 2 is 4x. 7 times 3x is 21x. Is there a way to make 21x and 4x 17x? Yes. 21x minus 4x is 17x. 2x times negative 2 is negative 4x. 7 times 3x is 21x. 21x and negative 4x is 17. And I need to bring down my other factor of x minus 2. We always change the sign of the number in the box. My zeros, negative 7/2, 2/3, and 2. And those are your final answers. And those answers should appear on my list. I see 2/3, I see negative 7/2 on my list. Right? And that's how you go through a problem. The second one, I have to get my list of factors again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. My factors of 2 are simply 1 and 2. So, plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 4, plus or minus 6, plus or minus 8, plus or minus 12, plus or minus 24. Every factor of 24 is a possible solution. And now all those factors over 2. 1/2, 2 over 2 is 1. 3/2, 4 over 2 is 2. We already have it. 6 over 2, 8 over 2, 12 over 2, 24 over 2. We already have those numbers. So now I start with 1. 2, 9, negative 53, and 24. Drop the 2, we get 11. That leaves us with negative 42 and negative 4. That doesn't give us a 0. So let's do negative 1. Negative 2 is 7. Negative 7 is negative 60. We get 6. That doesn't work. That doesn't give me a 0. So now I got to start with 2. We get 4. That's 13. 26. Negative 27. Negative 27 times 2 is negative 50. That's not going to work. So let's try negative 2. Negative 6, I get 3. Negative 6, I get negative 59. I get 118. That's not going to work. So now let's try 3. We get 15. We'll drop the 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 9 and 6 is 15. We get 45. That's a negative 8. Negative 8 times 3 is negative 24, and there's my 0. And now I'm going to factor what's left. 2x squared plus 15x minus 8. Once again, 2x and x. 2 and 4 can't work here. Because whether I put the 2 here and a 4 here, or the 4 here and a 2 here, I'm going to have a GCF in one of my parentheses. Really, my only option is 1 and 8. 2x times 8 is 16x. 1 times x is x. Is there a way to make 16x and x positive 15? Sure. 2x times positive 8 is 16x. Negative 1 times x, negative x, 16x, and negative x is 15x. And then we have an x minus 3. My answer is 1/2, negative 8, and 3. So this question here, obviously we got to find our possible factors. So I start with my factors of 108. There's a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is not. 6 is. 7 is not. 8 is not. 9 is. 10 is not. 11 is not. And then we go 12. I believe it is 14, 15, 16 into 16. Or I'm sorry, 6 into 108 is. So 18 times. Yeah, that's right. 18. 4 goes in 27 times. 3 goes in 36 times. 2 goes in 54, and then 108. So those are my factors of 108. My factors of 2 are just 1 and 2. Now, possible solutions. I've got to write up 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18, 27, 36, 54, and 108. Those are all possible solutions. When I synthetically divide, they're going to come in the first 3 though. Okay? Now, I put them over 2. So that leaves me 1/2. 2 over 2 is a repeat. 3/2. 4 4 over 2 is a repeat. 6 over 2 is a repeat. 9 halves. 12 over 2 is a repeat. 18 over 2 is a repeat. 27 halves. 36 over 2 is a repeat. 54 over 2 is a repeat. And 108 over 2 is a repeat. So those are my possible solutions. Now I start with 1. 2, 13, negative 9, negative 108, negative 108. Drop the 2, we get 15. 15 and negative 9 is 6. Negative 102, negative 102 here, it does not work. So let's go right to negative 1. Drop the 2, negative 2, we get 11. Negative 11, we get negative 20. 20, we get negative 88. 88 does not work. Does not give me that 0 I'm looking for. So now I try 2. Drop the 2, we get 4, that's 17, I get 34. 34 and negative 9 is 25. 25 times 2 is 50. Negative 108 and 50 is negative 58. Negative 58 times 2 is a negative 116. It does not work. So let's try negative 2. Drop the 2, I get negative 4, that's 9. Negative 18, that's a negative 27. That's 54. We get a negative 54 here. And negative 54 times negative 2 is 108. And that gives me my 0. So that one works. Now, my advice is you've got to try negative 2 again. I'm not saying it's going to work, but I would always try the one that works again. Since negative 1 and 2 didn't work, it's not going to work in this depressed equation as well. Okay, you don't need to try that again. Negative 4, we get 5. 5 times negative 2, negative 10, negative 37. I get 74. That doesn't work. All right, so let's try 3. Drop the 2, we get 6. 15 times 3 is 45. That gives me 18, and 18 times 3 is 54, and there's my 0. Right. Now, with the x to the 4th, we do need to synthetically divide twice before I can factor. And my factors, obviously 2x and x are my first factors in the 2 parentheses. My factors of 18, 6 and 3. Okay, I'm going to try them first. Makes no sense to put 6 in the first one. I'm going to put 3 in the first one and 6 in the second one. 2x times 6 is 12x. 3x times 3x is 3x. And 12x and 3x is 15x. And there's my middle term. I do need to bring both these down as factors. X plus 2 and x minus 3. We change the sign of what's in the box. So my zeros are negative 3 halves, negative 6, negative 2, and a positive 3. And there's my answer.